Paradise is exactly like where you are right now. Only much, much better. Saw this guy in a train, and they seem to have gotten stuck in one of those abstract trances. And he was going, and Fred said, I think he's in some kind of pain. I think it's a pain cry. And I said, pain cry? Then language is a virus. Language, it's a virus. Language, it's a virus. Well, I was talking to a friend, and I was saying I wanted you. And I was looking for you, but I couldn't find you. I couldn't find you. And he said, hey, you talking to me? Or are you just practicing for one of those performances of yours? Hot language, it's a virus. Language, it's a virus. He said, I had to write that letter to your mother, and I had to tell the judge that it was you, and I had to sell the car and go to Florida because that's just my way of saying
that I love you.
Had to call you at the crack of dawn and list the times that I've been wrong. That's just my way of saying that I'm sorry. It's a job. Sorry. Language, it's a virus. Exactly like where you are right now, only much, much better. It's a shipwreck, it's a job. You know, I don't believe there's such a thing as TV. I mean, they just keep showing you the same pictures over and over, and when they talk, they just make sounds that more or less sync up with their lips. That's what I think. Language, it's a virus. Language, it's a virus. Language, it's a virus. Well, I dreamed there was an island that rose up from the sea. Everybody on the island was somebody from TV. And there was a beautiful view, but nobody could see. Cause everybody on the island was saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, why? Because they all lived on an island that rose up from the sea. And everybody on the island was somebody from TV, and there was a beautiful view, but nobody could see, cause everybody on the island was screaming, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Paradise is exactly like where you are right now, only much, much better.
Last night
see a man who's broken, pick him up and carry him. And when you see a woman who's broken, pull her all into your arms. 'Cause we don't know where we come from, we don't know what we are. So when you see a man who's broken, pick him up and carry him. And when you see a woman who's broken, put her all into your arms. 'Cause we don't know where we come from, we don't know what we are. And you're no one, and you're falling, and you're traveling at the speed of light. And you're no one, and you're falling, and you're traveling at the speed of light. And you're no one, and you're falling, and you're traveling at the speed of light. And you're no one, and you're
Now, the book is called Stories from the Nerve Bible. And what I mean by the Nerve Bible is the body. And parts of the body appear and disappear throughout the book, adding up to a kind of self-portrait, although not a very naturalistic one. And I used the word Bible in the title of this book because the first really strange stories I remember hearing were Bible stories. And these stories were completely amazing, about parting oceans and talking snakes. And people really seemed to believe these stories. And I'm talking about adults. Adults who mainly just did the most mundane things imaginable, mowing their lawns and throwing potluck parties. They all believed in these wild stories. And they would sit around and discuss them in the most matter-of-fact way. So in a way, I was introduced to a special local form of surrealism at an early age. And so there was always a question in my mind about what's actually true and what is just another art form. Now, I've always been interested in trying to define what makes up the late 20th century American, for example. And so, as an artist, I've always thought my main job was to be a spy, to use my eyes and ears and find some of the answers. For example, I like to hang around the banks of phones in airports, one of my favorite listening posts, and eavesdrop on conversations. Now, I usually travel on the same schedule as salesmen, and after lunch, these guys call into the main office, and I just stand there at the phones, listening in and taking notes for my portrait of the American salesman.
Frank? Listen, Frank. You know, I hate to say this about Brad. I mean, we both know he's got a heck of a job. Yeah. Oh, you're so right. But you know, we both know that Brad just isn't pulling his weight. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this just because we're both up for the same Safeway account.
So this book is really a collection of voices and stories, as well as portraits of people that I've met along the way. A while ago, I was camping out in Kentucky. And I was sleeping out under this ledge, and about 3 a.m, I woke up, and the fire was out, but I could see 2 boots standing a few feet away. I crawled out, and there was a guy standing there with a musket. He said, "We eat critters." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Critters, you know, squirrel, possum, night animals. We hunt them at night." He said he didn't think it was a good idea for a woman to be alone in those parts, and he invited me back to his house. I followed him and ended up staying a week. His name was Mr. Taylor, and he was married to Mrs. Taylor. They were also brother and sister, but they didn't think that was too strange because their parents were also brother and sister. There were 4 Taylor kids: Jack, Jim, Rhonda, and Jim. 2 Jims for some reason. We'd get up every morning and sort of hack around in the tobacco patch. And when it got too hot, we'd just sit around on the porch and sort of stare out. The landscape around there was completely desolate, except for the tobacco plants. Standard Oil had strip mined it in the 30s. And just when some vegetation was beginning to grow back, they discovered that a certain kind of low-grade shale could be converted to oil. So they came back in and drilled holes, very deep holes, hundreds of feet down into the bedrock. But they never got around to filling them in afterwards. They just sent down a shipment of manhole covers, but nobody ever bothered to put them over the holes. One day, Mrs. Taylor told me that she used to have another kid, but that he had apparently fallen down one of these holes. Her description was very abstract. Nobody tried to rescue him. He just fell down the hole. She said, "Well, one day I saw him out there, and I was watching, and then I didn't see him out there no more."
We embody the spirit of motion. We're bodies in motion. We're bodies in motion. We dig down in the ocean, swing up to the stars. We own the moon and the earth. We're masters of Mars. We're bodies in motion. We embody the spirit of motion.
ancestors cowered in caves, afraid of the dark and the thunder. Wrapped up in black magic and rage, they were slaves to their hunger. Now we fly across mountains and plains. We know all about time and big numbers. With bodies in motion, we embody the spirit of motion. I love you with all my heart. You have my devotion. I loved you from the start. We're bodies in motion. We embody the spirit of motion. Eternal speed puts a dent in my shoulder, burning my spine, burning my spine. Some say the future is crowds fighting for water and space, chaotic and dark and loud. Everything used to have been taken, but I say the future's within, the still point of the mind. When we escape the bonds of earth and break the bonds of time, somebody asked me to design religion, I would make it all about snow. No good or evil and no suffering, just perfect crystal spinning in ecstasy, 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 ecstasy. Ooh, the weight of the world, eternal spin, puts a dent in my shoulder, burning my spin, burning my spin. Ooh, the weight of the world, eternal spin, puts a dent in my shoulder, burning my spin, burning my spin. We dig down in the ocean, swing up to the stars. We own the moon and the earth. We're masters of Mars. Bodies in motion, we embody the spirit of motion.
body's in motion. We embody the spirit of motion. How to find you? Maybe by your singing, or we trail notes in the water. One white wave in all these oceans. One white wave slipping through the nets of silence under polar ice caps, miles down. You leave your echoes in the water. One white wave in all these oceans. One white
looks a lot like rain. He said, isn't it? Isn't it just? Isn't it just like a woman? She said, it's hard. It's just hard. It's just kind of hard to say. He said, isn't it? Isn't it just? Isn't it just like a woman? She said, it goes. That's the way it goes. It goes that way. He said, isn't it? Isn't it just like a woman? She said, it takes one. It takes one too. It takes one to know one. He said, isn't it just like a woman? She said it. She said it to know. She said it to no one. Isn't it? Isn't it just? Isn't it just like a woman? Your eyes, it's a day's work to look into them. Your eyes, it's a day's work just looking into them. Around 1978, I met the comedian Andy Kaufman, and he was performing his Avant-garde Elvis act in a club in Queens. The performance started with Andy playing the bongos, and for some unknown reason, sobbing. We became friends, and I acted as Andy's straight man in clubs and field trips. At the Improv in New York, Andy would begin his show by insulting women and saying, "I won't respect them until one of them comes up here and wrestles me down." This was supposed to be my job. I sat in the club drinking whiskeys, trying to get up the nerve. In the meantime, I was also supposed to be heckling him. And after 3 whiskeys, I managed to get pretty abusive. Wrestling him down, though, was really hard because Andy really fought. On our field trips, we would go to Coney Island to try out some of Andy's theories on cutting-edge comedy. We'd stand around the Test Your Strength games, the one with the big sledgehammer and the bell. And Andy would make fun of all the guys who were swinging away. And I was supposed to beg him for one of the huge stuffed bunnies. "Oh, Andy, honey, please get me a bunny. Please. Please." Finally, Andy would step up to the big thermometer and take a swing. The indicator would rise a few inches, and "try again, weakling" would flash. At this point, Andy would start yelling that the game was rigged and demanding to see the manager. We also went on the Roto Whirl, the ride that plasters everyone against the walls of a spinning cylinder and stretches their bodies into Dopplered blobs. Before the ride actually starts, there are a couple of awkward minutes while the attendant checks the motor and the riders, bound hand and foot, stare at each other. This was the moment that Andy seized. He would start by looking around in a panic, and then he would start to cry.
I don't want to be on this ride. I've changed my mind. We're all gonna die.
The other riders would look around self-consciously. Should they help? He would then begin to sob uncontrollably. I loved Andy. He would come over to my house and read from a novel he was writing. He would read all night. I don't know if any of this book was ever even published. Now, I've never been one to hope that Elvis is still hanging around somewhere, hiding. But I will probably always expect to see Andy reappear someday. When Buckminster Fuller came to Canada, he kept asking the same question. Have you ever really considered how much your buildings actually weigh? The Canadians took this very seriously. Maybe never thought of it that way. He showed them pictures of domed cities, cities with no basements, no foundations, cities that could be moved in a minute, portable cities, portable towns. He said, think of it as camping out. He said, think of it as one big tent. We said, think of it as the big top, spinning, lightweight, portable. He said, think of it as the big top, spinning, lightweight, fly away. He said, think of it as the big top. It was the night flight from Houston. Almost perfect visibility. You could see the lights from all the little Texas towns far below. and I was sitting next to a 52-year-old woman who had never been on a plane before. And her son had sent her a ticket and said, "Mom, you've raised 10 kids. It's time you got on a plane." She was sitting in the window seat, staring out, and she kept talking about the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper and pointing. And suddenly, I realized that she thought we were in outer space, looking down at the stars. And I said, "You know, I think those lights down there are the lights from little towns." What's this? A little dust in my eye. Well, I'm not the type to cry. It's 4 a.m. I'm standing by the bed where you lie, sleeping the sleep of the newborn. I put my finger to your lips, warm hair. 5 a.m. You lift your hand and open it. Then you slipped away. You slipped away. Oh, death, that creep, that crooked jerk. He comes walking. He comes sneaking down that long, irreversible hallway. Grabs you in your sleep. Walk outside to the parking lot. Bright coins of water on the sidewalk. Big white building where your body lies stands in the middle of the fields. Icy air, and after all the shots, the way the heart unlocks. We slip away. We slip away. I'm thinking about the way they lost things, always come back, looking like something else. Fishing pole, a shoe, an old shirt, a lucky day. Then they slip away into the remains of the day. They slip away, they slip away. How you taught me how to win and how to lose and how to fight the crippling blues that I was born with. Bad dreams and nightmares. Ooh.
that sometime I'll stop looking for you, stop seeing your face every day. Bad dreams and nightmares, and big bad wounds. Ooh, they slip away into the remains of the day. Ooh, they slip away into the remains of the day. They slip away. You told me you had no idea how to die, but I saw the way the light left your eyes, and after all the shocks, the way a heart unlocks. Ooh, then you slipped away. You slipped away.
the little face of my dog, a small rat terrier named Lolabelle. And no one says anything like, you know, this is not a human baby. You just gave birth to a dog. But I'm so happy. I put my head to her forehead and look into her eyes. And it's almost a perfect moment, except that the joy is mixed with quite a lot of guilt. Because the truth was, I had engineered this whole thing. I had arranged to have Lolabelle sewn into my stomach so that I could then give birth to her. And this had been really hard to do. Lolabelle wasn't a puppy. She was a full-grown dog, and she had really struggled, and she kept barking and trying to get